You know, government issued a statement today, which I really don't want to read too much into that, you know, that the INEC should actually go and investigate the malfunctioning of the system, justice. I think being a country where faith rides very high, if you are not a committed Christian, you are a committed Muslim, or you're just a, but those things sometimes don't work. The guarantee for peace is justice. And justice is basically when things are done the way they ought to be done, when there is fairness. And fairness doesn't mean everybody gets the same thing. Maybe before I turn it back to you, I will say that the election for the office of the presidency should be the least important. But the political class have made it a full office in the land. I think is the president, even, you know, of not lost, should be very, very important to us, because that is the governance closest to us. Once they enter the rock in Aso, you know, that place, there's no more. It's difficult to hold the president accountable. But look at the way we voted out the governor here. We have a bit of a control because we can easily, you know, grab him and say, okay, this is what we've done. We voted against the, you know, the candidate of Jank. We voted Lalong out. You know, so it's, let's focus on these little offices, because that's where, you know, the, you know, government service is closer to us.
Okay. Well, just a quick follow-up question on what you just said, talking about some of the sitting governors that even lost.
They lost, I mean,
some positions like senatorial seats. I think about 6 of them.
About 6 of them.
And then we have situations where people that a lot of people least expect to emerge, like are emerging, even from political parties that some termed without structure. So, like, would you say that like democracy is growing, or you would say that democracy is, our democratic growth is stunted? Because with these results that we've seen from the election of the National House of Assembly, even the senatorial and House of Rep, we've seen how even incumbents are being like voted out. So is that the man? Because democracy is government of the people. So
that's what they say.
Democracy.
That's what they say. That's what we were taught in school. You know, maybe because it's my first time of coming here, I like to say that I don't believe democracy as currently structured in Africa will ever enable Africa to develop. We have to Africanize our democracy. We need to contextualize it. We're practicing a Western brand. The result is shown on the screen. Who declares results in America? The media. You come on TV and you declare it. You can follow the trend. That's what I thought the Beavers was going to do. There's an iRev screen that they said was going to appear at the collation centers with flowers, and the covering is clad in green and white. Is fraud. Because of the way we practice it, right? Because of the way, so it's not going to make us develop the way it's currently practiced. I'm not saying we should jettison democracy, right? But we should structure it in such a way that it reflects who we are. That's why the moment the person enters into office, it's not a servant, it's Baba, because that's who we are. That's who we are. He doesn't feel action. Is that, you know, people who don't trust the system before had not come out to come and vote. But maybe affect the figures in a way they used to. They actually restricted people from voting. Look at the turnout. It's still largely 80-something million PVCs, 87 million collected. You know, add all the the votes cast is still way, the gap is still very wide. So a lot of people wanted to vote. Look at the whole governor of a state went to excavate a road so that voting materials won't get there. Election, to organize election, the political class, they've made it look like something that is very complex and difficult. No, especially with technology. What stops me from voting on my phone? Why make the process of me collecting PVC so difficult? Somebody moved from one house. I was leaving a radio station on the morning of the election. There was a woman backing a baby who was looking for transportation. It was the media guys who picked me. We had to drop her. I said, "Madam, how are you going to get back?" He said, "No, that I was going to," because that was where she registered around, you know, Summit Junction, Polo, and she lives far in Rayfield. So because she moved house, she now had to go through to my house. But the moment you notice that your house doesn't have an address, that is a platform for an ineffective electoral process. That you can't easily mail something in Nigeria. That is because we don't have a national database. My international passport should enable me to vote. My NIN, I should be able to vote with it. If my ATM card works everywhere in the world, tied to a BVN, I should be able to vote with it. So why all the different layers? PVC, they are all ploys to, control the system in the way that benefits, that establishes, that continue to sustain the status quo.
So I would just like to make mention of the fact that you feel that the gubernatorial seat is supposed to be more important. More important because they are close to us.
Absolutely.
And we've seen people making some observation of the digital, the way we are not so used to tech. So what can we now do differently? Because I don't know how much time INEC will have from now till 11th of March to be able to do. So what can we now do differently to let people know how important it is? Because from the way it looks, I say we are not ready for the digital space. So what can we do differently?
Again, if we say we are not ready for the digital space, we're still echoing the narratives of those who benefit from this system. We are ready for the digital space. Digital space is not that you're going to have a degree in computer science or you need to have a, any kind of qualification in IT. My mother in the village, I send money to her. She received call from me. That's digital age, right? So you ask me, what can we do differently? We are doing something that we can do, right? That the presidential election has been stopped at the point where the officers are saying it's impossible to transmit the results. And we say, okay, let's hold it. Let's hold on until this system works. But when you have a situation where we are so quick, we are so in a hurry, people offer their hot connection of INEC that was used to transmit. And then how lawyers always look for lacunas. They always look for spaces. So we need to understand that this thing can work. This is what INEC said. Now there's a whole discussion about INEC never said electronic transmission. They just said transmission because we allow that. What we heard was that the Beavers was a game changer. And I believe it should be a game changer. Why are you asking people not to announce results? It is announced. Why can't I announce it? Because the political parties too are in their situation rooms and they are getting all the figures. They have their numbers. So what we can do differently is, what made the June 12 election, number one, I'm going to tie all this together. What made the June 12 election still become the reference point? Number one, if you recall, the presidential election was the last, right? Number two, everybody had the results, even without technology. Then, everybody had the results because the buzz leading up to that election, because we wanted to move the military out. Everybody was kind of, we didn't mind whether it was a Muslim ticket and all those kind of things, because everybody was so interested. Let us ride on this interest again. For the gubernatorial, for the gubernatorial elections. If the results from each of the polling units are being pushed out, the INEC does not have any right under the law to stop me from announcing the election in my polling unit. Just saying, unit so, this is the result. LP this, APC this, PDP this, A party this. This is for this polling unit, right? And we citizens too, who says Equa TV can have a, like a situation room where all the results coming in, you can ask people, text the result from your polling unit to us. Put your name. Equa TV will not announce because that will not be legal. But you have the record. You can be monitoring it. It's because we still don't, the law allows it for you to say, this is the trend. This is the percentage of vote that have been cast. And with what is going, this person has a traction. This person has a traction. But they threaten you with laws that doesn't exist. So the legal department of, say, Equa TV can say, this is how far we can go. You know why I'm saying all this? Our political class, they've enjoyed this culture of impunity because we don't have a culture and a practice of protesting in Nigeria. I used to be a student union activist, And I understand when NSAS broke out, I told the guys that I know who are involved in it that when they threaten to kill you, don't think it's a threat. They are going to kill you. They will shoot at you. So count the cost. And I remember I told them that what will happen is everybody, if this fails, everybody will switch to, plan B. Let's leave the country. Where you are going, sacrifice of others, you will still be a second-class citizen. So these are the kind of things. The citizens need to protest. And right now, politicians are looking at the next election. 2020, what is that? 2027. But we are still focused on this. They are already determining how the 2020. So we too should be able to project. If BVAS fails for this time, we need to come back to the culture of protest. One of the things I said during the NSAS is, the police doesn't know that this NSAS is actually for them, class government officials. I had a dream as a young man to be a policeman, because I believe it's the key in every society, law enforcement. A bad law, if it's properly applied, it can still produce good results. The police force in this country is critical. Anyone who is well-meaning and say you want to transform this society, I want to hear your plan for the police force.
Don't you think that probably because of how the some talks take advantage of well-meaning Nigerians?
Good point. Good point. But do you know, he said armed robberies, but they created, the political class weaponized poverty. Because these thugs, they just benefit from, from the little things. I like the way they broke it down on one of the TV stations. If you collect 5,000 to sell your vote, that's 4 naira per day for 4 years.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the political culture of impunity that you highlighted earlier on. Like, no doubt, over the years, the poverty, unemployment, the peril situations that we found ourselves today as a nation, insecurity and all, were birthed by bad leaders and bad structure.
And deliberately so.
You get, so, like, during this election, hopes were high, even before the election, because about the BVAS. Nigerians were excited that going by the Electoral Act, the provisions of the Electoral Act, voting takes. Quite unfortunate that after the election, some talked about technical hitches, even though some people talk about connivances with maybe a particular political party to rig the process. We've seen how even party agents during the coalition talked about the fact that for the fact that INEC went against that provision, that means there's already a question, and we wanted to develop, we wanted to grow, and no wonder the excitement and the readiness and the resilience of Nigerians to come out and participate in this process because of the assurances. But quite unfortunate, at the end of the day, coalition was the process saying it's far from free, fair, and credible. So this alliance, what do you make of this alliance, and then the governing party saying that them resorting to court is illegal?
No, resorting to court is not illegal. Yeah, I mean, it's their right to go to court. I suspect the alliance.
Okay.
Because if there is a concerted effort to change what everybody, that this ruling party, the government currently in power, as much as I don't like using that word power, that they've not delivered on any of their promises. Insecurity was one of their high points of campaign.
True.
The APC said they were going to restructure Nigeria. They never did. So if there was a concerted, if those alliances are well intended, if they are actually for the sake of the people, it shouldn't be because they are electoral, the election is going against them that they easily come together. Imagine a situation where there's an alliance. How did APC come about? Alliance. That's how they were able to move PDP out of office. But you see, these politicians is still about winning elections, not about transforming society. So winning elections can easily bring them together. Why can't, the desire to say we want to change those who are serving this country, why can't those guys come together earlier? Why? Because it's easy for them to come together. It's not that these political parties have any kind of ideology. Their own ideology is to win elections. So I don't see any sincerity. Why it looks like, Nigerians are good people. We are we believe easily, you know, and it's not working for us. We need to suspect every move. Everybody is kind of quiet, you know, you know. But these three parties are claiming victory, right? So what happens now if what they want now is because let's trash this and do it. That's where we are. If that's going to produce, so nobody should, you know, make us afraid of a rerun. No. If we have spent this much, we can spend more, right? We can spend more. So, but the point is, these alliances is not for self-service. Is it for national service? This excitement, right? So it's not for our sake, you know, act as if it's a human rights activist. Come on, Nigerians should stop believing these people. They take Nigerians for granted. They take full advantage of this our easy believist kind of attitude. You know, Femi Fani-Kayode, who was a minister of aviation, he was in court for graft on many grounds. He's not the one talking. I mean, we should know that there are only two interests in Nigeria. The citizens' interest and the politicians' interest. Those are the only two. There's only one political party in Nigeria, substance over form. Is what the Democrats stand for. You know their economic policy. You know their social policy. You know what the Republicans stand for. They call themselves progressive. What exactly does that mean? So we still vote. The man is my tribesman. The man is from my area. You know, if you want to do tribal politics, there's nothing wrong with it. That's who we are as a people. It's like having ruling houses. We know the next house.
That's true.
That's the way it is. And there's no, even then, there are still a bit of quarrels, but we know how to settle it if it's a local quarrel, right?
But on the basis of competence, right?
It should be on the basis of competence, because we're talking about political office. But for me, the office of the president, I keep saying, should be rendered. We are too centralized. The power invested in that exclusive list is too heavy.
For the president.
It's too heavy. No one man should have those kind of powers. Why are we still discussing state police when we should be talking about local government police? It's a no-brainer right now that, because you can't leave the governor, the chief security officer of a state. Nigeria is the only country where you have state assemblies empowered to make laws, and they don't have law enforcement agencies. It's a system designed to fail, just like Nigeria itself. It was designed not to function. So we need to say, if we remain like this, we can't function. Something has to be done.
Now, you make mention that we are Africans, and we tend to be taking something that is westernized and we're using it. Now, will you be of the opinion that maybe, since we're Africans, we'll start having town hall meetings before sending maybe representatives in various, political offices that can actually make effective change? Because if we should have, maybe we should start having town hall meetings.
We should. Existent. They are there. It's not functioning. You see, assemblies are like town hall. The person is in office. We should be able to call the person home, right? And have a town hall. So this is what you said. We have not seen it. The allocation that came to this local government the last time, how was it spent? Because, you see, Nigerians don't believe that public money is our money. That's the reason why people don't pay tax and everybody is happy. The government doesn't want to trouble you, because if they trouble you, you will trouble them. So they don't provide any service for you, you provide it for yourself. I call my house a local government because the water system is mine. I have my generator. I have my security, right? Both, human and animal. But in a case, if the government works, right? If I take all the money I spend on power, on security, on feeding my dogs so that my house is secured, if I take that and pay it as tax, it's a lot of money for the government. Imagine the number of houses, how much we spend to fuel generator, right? To pay gate men, to do all this for ourselves, to buy pumping machine, to pump and all those kind of things. If we gather all that money and give it to them, because that's exactly what governance is. We take our commonwealth and give it to them, use it to provide services for us. So town hall meetings are not just for campaign. They are also for, it's a platform for demanding accountability. We should be able to call you home. Many of them have constituency offices. It's not civilized. It is the most civilized. The government of public servants, they are servants, right? They are supposed to serve us because we pay their salary. Yeah, we pay their salary. They are there to serve us. So I believe that's why I'm not talking about it, because it's now non-existent. Nobody knows what goes on there. But the state government. So that's the way we've always voted in Nigeria.
Well,
that's the way we've always voted.
Doc, I think one of the opportunity for Nigerians to get the right people is through elections. And already from the election that has gone, that's rigged.
It's obvious that it was rigged.
From free and fair.
Yeah.
So I want us to talk about the culture of inducement, because we've had people saying, oh, there were inducements, there was the issue of incompetence. And I think for some time now, after election result is announced, you hear issue of incompetence. Even before the announcement, when coalitions are going on, people start pointing fingers
incompetence on the part of
the INEC. So let's talk about this culture of inducement, incompetence, as well as Nigerians on their own part getting it right, even at the point of electing leaders, because they're the ones that obviously will end up getting it right, even at the point of electing leaders, because they're the ones that obviously will end up making policies. I think why I believe that not just the office of the president is important, but even the legislatures down to the state level and all of that. So,
you know, I don't believe that Nigerian officials are incompetent. No. They know what to do. They've seen these things done in other places. I used to have a friend who worked in INEC. They send them to go and observe the election in places where they have well-structured elections, and also in places where they have elections that look like... In fact, the friend I had in INEC went to observe elections in Afghanistan at the time. So they've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. It is not incompetence. It is selfishness. It's wickedness. It's not ineptitude. It's, you know, you can't change a system that benefits you. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have a call. Sorry, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, that's one.
Yeah, the government are not pastor. Although we won't say they are not trying, we'll say they are trying, because them promising to restructure Nigeria, and also we came to live in an era where you can buy money. You get 10,000, you want to get your money, they will take.
We lost him?
Yes. Well, do well to call us back, Desmond. Please
Let them know that they need to serve those people, because anybody going to that seat is going there to serve. But in Nigeria, they don't serve us. We are still the ones serving them. So we are all Nigerians are disappointed. Short, they are disappointing us.
Thank you so much, Desmond, for calling. He's just aligning himself with the fact that
you know,
leaders are not servants.
So if you say somebody is incompetent, what's the repercussion? Query the issues. For me, the whole thing that I saw, it was just a grandstanding. It was just trying to, I mean, it's a colossal waste of money. Do you know that if you want to really deploy technology, ATM machines can be voting booths. The machine there can do voting. You know, the ATM doesn't take physical cash to your account, it's figure.
True.
Right? It's figure, just dispenses cash. That machine can also be programmed to take, you know, there is a place you can use a thumbprint on that. So those machines can serve dual purposes.
Sir, let's take this call. Stephen from Jos. Good afternoon, Stephen.
Good afternoon, man.
Please go away with you.
Yes, this election failed us. And if things are not properly followed, then everything is not, because whether whoever wins is not the problem. But the problem is the things are not being followed gradually as procedures. So this kind of question, we are growing, the Nigeria is growing digitally, but we are still behaving analog. And Nigerians are not happy with what is happening. So if there is a way that this election or any way in the nearest future, let them try and adjust, or another way, let them do the right thing before the power of INEC will be questionable. So let the world know that Nigerians are not really happy.
Thank you so much. Doctor, our time is actually fast spent, so
Okay.
I would just like you to, as you respond to the first question, there are also issue of zero tolerance and zero confidence in the judiciary, and election is also coming up again on the 11th of March. So there are people that are already developing voter apathy and saying, I won't go out because
I think for me, let me speak for Plateau, where I live.
Sure.
Because it's not all the states that are actually having a gubernatorial election. For us in Plateau, we shouldn't be deterred by what happened in the presidential. No president has ever done anything to benefit this state. That office, honestly, we should put a lower value on it. Let's focus on this. For us in this country, they know what hasn't worked. Why don't we risk it an election that's the governorship? That is where the law. We are always very afraid that hoodlums will come. They say things into our. If in the polling units, we also insist them to jaws and all this kind of. So let's not be deterred candidates on the ballot. I won't want to talk about my own preference there because this is not the voting. What Party told me said APC. Rather than having, it took a threat to impeach this current governor before he visited where people were killed in this state. It took a threat. And those days where the governor has the House of Assembly, in his palms, those days should go, right? So the state assembly elections, the governorship elections, no matter, the main assembly should be on their toes where they are not on the payroll of the governor, right? So these are the kind of issues. And for the judiciary, it's just, what's happening in the judiciary is just because of a faulty foundation. Because the moment the judiciary has been compromised, then we don't have a nation. Because they say the judiciary is the last hope, right?
Yes.
So if we don't have any hope in that, then we don't have a nation. But I still believe that there are traces here and there. Even lawyers say that they don't have, I mean, it's tragic. I was driving past the High Court. Right now it has no roof. Right? So you might have a case now and they say the High Court is not ready. Why is it that the High Court building will get to a point where they have to remove the whole roof? Right? That will take a long time to fix in a season where that particular service might be of use. You see, these things are not ineptitude. They are designed so that this faulty system is perpetuated. But the whole responsibility lies on us as the office of the citizen is still the highest office in the land. Election is the most important for us. And let's go out there and make sure it's not just that we just mouth change. I think the other thing I want to say is, those who lost this election, if they really mean well, being in government is not the only way to affect people's lives. Opposition is also critical. What I advise all the PDP, OB movement and everything, why don't you just morph? Just transform into a viable opposition. If your intention is to have a good nation, you can make a huge difference if you keep the government accountable. These are the kind of things. So those who are going to lose the election, they should know that there are other platforms for you to make a difference. If making a difference in the lives of people is the objective.
Great analysis. Thank you so much, Dr. Dotun Reju, for creating time to speak with us. We hope to have more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sele Elisha, thank you so much for doing this
My
with
pleasure.
me. We'll be back again. So for our viewers, thank you so much for staying with us on this segment of The Choice 2020.